We're touring a custom home minutes from downtown Austin, Texas, and it has a second floor balcony. It's got a garage apartment in the backyard. It's got a pool, and it looks out to so much greenery. If you like great design upgrades, you love custom home walkthroughs, then stick with me for a great home tour. Now, this is 2307 Quarry Road. We're right here in Austin, Texas, south of Tarrytown. We're in a neighborhood called Westfield, which is just 2 to 3 miles away from downtown Austin, Texas. Now, this is a Nalle Custom Home, and I want to give a shout out to the listing agent, Sean Rose at Rose & Associates Properties. Really appreciate Sean letting me put this on my YouTube channel so I can showcase what you can get minutes from downtown Austin, Texas. Now, this specific home is just shy of 4,800 square feet to 2025 build. It's got 5 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms. It's on a property that's over 10,000 square feet. And like usual, going right out to the main living area. This is what I meant by saying there are design upgrades everywhere, and it starts right here in this huge living dining room. We got beams running across the ceiling. We got nothing but glass off the back wall, and we have an incredible fireplace design that I'm going to swing around and show in detail. And by the way, we're going to get outside. There's an outdoor kitchen area. There's that garage apartment. There's a pool. There's an upstairs balcony. There's so much to see here, and where I want to start is the kitchen. Now, my name is Raj Sahu. I'm a realtor in Austin, Texas, and I've represented clients with 21 different builders, and 98% of my clients reach out to me through YouTube. And what people tell me they love about kitchens like this is a contrast in colors. Notice how the kitchen island is a different cabinet color, and the exterior colors are all very different. The upper cabinets have glass inserts in them. They do these different things in this kitchen to make your eyes go up. And one of those things is right behind this Wolf stovetop, where take a look at this kitchen backsplash. Incredible veins running through it. Those same veins are running through the countertops behind me in the kitchen island. And then you have these little nook areas to the left and right of the stovetop. This is something that is very unique, and that's what most people are looking for when they're looking around at custom homes right around downtown Austin, Texas. They want these different, unique features, and I think this is definitely one of them. Let me know what you think in the comments about all this. Now, what my clients think about this main living area is they love how the kitchen, dining, living room is all one space, especially in this area around downtown Austin, where there were homes built in the 1970s, 80s, and during that time, everything was closed off. There were walls everywhere. And so your options in this type of market is either to buy that type of home and fix it up yourself, take down walls, do a major renovation, but most people just want something turnkey from a reputable custom home builder that they can buy and just move right into. And as you can tell, the design upgrades and the finish out continues right here in the pantry. By the way, if you see blue tape up on the walls, they're just doing the final touch-ups in this home. So appreciate Nalle Custom Homes for letting me get in here and take this video while they're at the end of construction, and also showing very cool things like this wallpaper along the wall. You don't see that too much in a pantry. There's also a very cool ceiling design in here, and so many touches that I could keep focusing in on. But one of them I got to go back to. I need to give you a full walkthrough of this stovetop and the design one more time. And by the way, that's a mud bench. There's a utility room back there. We'll get to that a little bit later. You got to see this because this is such a cool design piece. I keep coming back to it because when I walked out to the main living area, I couldn't help but look at the fireplace. But then when I turned the corner and looked at the kitchen, I thought that was so unique. Now, there's still a lot to see here. I'm going to head outside in about a minute. I'm going to show you the outdoor kitchen. There's that garage apartment. There's a pool. But I want to go back to this accent piece that I noticed right away when I turned the corner. And I love when there's different accent pieces that really pull your eyes side to side, and then design pieces along the ceiling to make you look up. And that's exactly what happens when you get out to this main living area. You can't help but look left to that fireplace design, right to the dining butler pantry area that's got that very cool wooden design that pretty much accents and mirrors that fireplace design. And your eyes look up, obviously looking at those real fir beams, and then your eyes can't help but go out to this outdoor patio and pool area because of all the glass on the back wall. And I get so many people that get out to a main living area and they stop and they just look around for 20 to 30 seconds. And when I see that, that's when you know a home really hits. And it's because that person who's walking that home wants something open concept, and they go right out to the main living area. And when they see that, that's when they imagine living in their home. And I think it's starting to become easy to imagine living in this home when you get to this outdoor kitchen area where we got a built-in grill, we got a space for a mini fridge, we got a vent hood outside. You don't usually see that. And then this accent wall ties it all together. Absolutely incredible. And this is the lifestyle that people want, right? When they come to Austin, Texas, they don't want to just live in their home and have it be a huge home. They just stay inside. They always tell me that they want to enjoy the outdoor areas. They want to entertain. They want to have people over. And they also want to have a pool. And it's because the summer is brutally hot here, and the way you beat the heat is you have to have a pool in your backyard or have a neighbor close by that has a pool. And at this home, you don't need to go to a neighbor's house. You have it right here in the backyard. Now, I might have missed it earlier. The sale price of this home is probably important to talk about. We are listed at just under $5.2 million, but it just came down to $5.1 million. But if that's out of budget, well, then take a look at this.
Hey, real quick, I'm on a street just north of Tarrytown where there are a couple homes that are coming up for sale that are just over $3 million, around 4,200 square feet, and also newer homes. And these are the streets that I'm constantly touring to figure out what best options are coming up for our clients that work with me and my team. So if you want to connect with us, go ahead and scan this QR code on the left side of your screen. That will start a text message, and all you got to do is click send, and then my team and I can connect with you, figure out what your best options look like, and then tell you what options are even coming up, some that are under construction in these areas of Tarrytown, Allendale, Crestview, Brentwood, Rosedale. The list goes on, and there's off-market properties everywhere. Now, if you're watching this on your mobile, click on the link at the bottom of the description of this video. That will pull up a calendar where you can also book a call with us. All right, hope that helps. Back to the video. Okay, getting back to this home, while we're back here, I want to share with you there is garage access around that corner. We got 12th Street right behind this home where you can access that garage. And as we keep mentioning, we are very close to all these different things that people want to be close by to in Austin. The people that want to live in Austin actually feel like they live in Austin. They don't just feel like they live in another suburb across the United States in a city. They can be minutes from downtown Austin and feel like they live in Austin. They can get a second floor balcony, which we're going to see later on in the video up there. Then these are the types of homes that they look at in neighborhoods like Tarrytown. And this is a great example of feeling like you live in Austin. A separate garage unit or above the garage unit, incredible. And this is a wide open space that has similar upgrades to what we'll see throughout the home, the main home. And I think you see what I'm talking about here, where we have another kitchenette, we have another main living area, we got some fun upgrades, we got a lot of cabinets, and this is such a great flexible space. What I find for a lot of people that move to Tarrytown, they tend to compromise on square footage, and they feel like when they compromise on square footage, their biggest fear is feeling like you live on top of each other. And that means sometimes when you have guests, maybe your guests come, they also have kids, maybe you also have kids, when everybody's kind of living in the same house on top of each other, it's very difficult to get privacy, especially if you have family or friends visiting you for a while. Sometimes it's nice to just have a separate space that they can go back to and not feel like you're living on top of each other. And for a lot of houses around this area, when you compromise on square footage, that is the biggest thing that I do hear from people when that fear comes true. And it's the simple reason, the simple reason why is most people that are looking at moving to the Austin, Texas metro, a lot of people are still coming from out of state, and they see the value of moving here to get more square footage. But then when you don't get that square footage and you end up moving closer to downtown Austin, then a lot of people that move here from like the Bay Area or Seattle, they say, well, what's the point? And what I always tell people is, well, some of these spaces can feel very private from each other if you just have a good functional home. And sometimes functionality means having a guest house like this right above your garage that's separate from the rest of the home. It's got an en-suite full bathroom, which you just saw there. It's got closet space. It's got a living area, fantastic. Now, I've had a lot of people tell me that when their parents stay with them, they want a separate area for their parents, because they're, especially people who say when they have kids, the parents, aka grandparents, come often. And what those parents, and I'll just call them grandparents because I'm in that boat where my parents have now become grandparents. My wife and I have 2 kids, age 3 and 1. And when they come, sometimes I can tell they love our kids, but then it's just like nonstop energy, and they just sometimes need their own space. You know, my dad's gonna be turning 80 in a couple years, and don't get me wrong, healthy as a clam, love the energy that my parents have right now. They're traveling the world, they're retired, and I love seeing that. I know, though, sometimes they need a break, right? And it's nice to have that separate space where they can get that break, and that's what reminds me of that garage entry. Let me know what you think about that, and we're gonna get back into the home. We're gonna go through the primary bedroom, bathroom. I'm gonna keep showing you design everywhere. Like, take a look at that ceiling design. It looks incredible, and can't say it enough. I love these windows off the back of the home. This door and everything in this main living area, I think, resonates with so many people looking at the Austin, Texas metro. It's just got the vibe. We can even look at the built-in fridge. We got the dining area that's got a great butler's pantry. A lot of fantastic upgrades in here. And I wanna know what you think about all this. Now, we're gonna get to the primary bedroom and bathroom next. But before we do, I should say, we're gonna go through the dining room right here, because a lot of people tell me when they're looking at older homes, they end up compromising on square footage, and sometimes that means on how far their dollar goes when they're looking at areas around downtown Austin, but also it's the functionality of these spaces. Many older homes have a dedicated dining room, and for some people they say, hey, we use that dedicated dining room once, and it's usually Thanksgiving, right? And for those people that are tired of that waste of space, they're paying for that space constantly via property taxes, via utilities, and they never really used it except for one holiday. Well, then take a look at this dining room. I like that. It's right off of that main living area, but you still don't compromise on the space. You got a 8-seater table here. The living room still feels massive, and I think the upgrades, like the beams running across the ceiling, match up so well with the kitchen island, along with this butler's pantry, and then the accent wall behind the butler's pantry. Incredible. Fantastic. I love when functionality and design come together to really make these homes feel special, and that design continues here in the primary bedroom, and it actually starts with the entryway. I like how they put a curve right there. It matches up really well with the windows around that glass door. So many fun upgrades that are here. But I gotta tell you, one thing that makes this bedroom stand out is the windows that are in that corner there. I'm gonna give you a different view. Don't get me wrong, I know I'm gonna get polarizing comments on this. It's not exactly the same, but when I first turned on all the lights in this home and I came to this primary bedroom, I will say, looking out at these corner windows made me feel like Europe. It made it feel like Europe, because I see this often with like the vines and the trees, and then like a separate house out here. Maybe not the pool. I don't think I've seen too many pools in Europe, but that reminded me of the vibe of it. And I think those windows, the separate guest house, and then the tall ceilings are just fantastic. Now you're gonna see that same vibe here in the primary bathroom, where we got tall ceilings. I think I missed a couple lights here. Let me get those on. And then I don't know who took off the hand towels, but just bear with me as I go through these homes. Sometimes they're just finishing up construction, so there might be a couple guys coming in, and earlier there's a gentleman cleaning up the pool, and I always tell people, hey, clean up the pool, it's all good. I'll work around you guys, and my goal here is just to get you the vibe of these houses, because I did this 4.5 years ago on a different channel where I featured a lot of the builders in the suburbs of the Austin, Texas metro. And now my wife wants to move to this area, like Northwest Hills, Tarrytown, Allendale. And so now I got this channel going where I love showing homes like this because of my wife. My wife loves this type of stuff. And you know, I featured a lot of production builders in the suburbs. And so I want to show a lot more homes like this that show off these very cool custom qualities that I'm starting to get more accustomed to. And what I mean by that is when you work with a lot of production builders, they don't do a lot of this stuff. Like, take a look at this freestanding tub. It definitely is giving European vibes. Let me know what you think about that. But simple things like sconces on either side of the mirrors, the level 5 sheetrock that this builder did, this custom home builder, all the built-ins in the closet. These are things that you just don't see in the suburbs. And I think for a lot of people that are moving to this area, their nightmare is the suburbs. They would move to Dallas if they wanted to buy in the suburbs. A lot of people tell me, why would they move to Austin and not buy around downtown Austin? Because they're buying around Austin to be in Austin. They want to feel like they live in Austin. And for those types of people, I think they look at these areas, and they also look for very cool spaces like this. I don't think I saw this when I first walked in. I was just putting on all the lights. But I love this because a lot of people tell me they need this area for luggage, right? I know it's super dark in there, but that is a perfect place for luggage. And I love how it's kind of like a secret nook that is clearly underneath the stairwell. And I didn't even see this earlier on. And so when we're talking about differences between custom home builders and production builders in the suburbs, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Let me know what you think about that. And if you're like us, when we travel overseas, we just have endless amounts of luggage. We always overpack. But with 2 young kids, like one of our suitcases is just toys, and we use that for distractions when we go overseas. With a 3 and a 1-year-old, distractions are everything, and we try to use those when we're on an airplane or just in some of our relatives' house that are overseas. And if you're like us, then you have endless amounts of luggage for that reason. Okay, moving on. We still got a lot to see here. I'm gonna work my way to the front door, and then I can't wait for you to see the upstairs balcony and those sliding glass doors, that huge game room. There's still a lot to see here. There's also a study on that left side there. There's a powder bath. But what I wanna get back to is this door. I know I'm framing the Job Johnny back there. I apologize, I didn't move my shoes, but I think you can still see the point of sharing this. This door adds so much natural light into this entryway. It's massive, and I think your eyes just want to go directly out to all those upgrades that are in the main living area. I think I showed this when I first walked in, but take a look at the ceiling design, and then I think that continuity with the beams running across the ceiling in the living room is fantastic. And what's great about this area is we do have a mud bench and a lot of built-ins. So you can just throw shoes to the side here. And you have some great built-ins right next to the front door. And then this was that separate access way to the kitchen. So you have access right into the kitchen here. And then on this side, we do have a utility room with tons of built-ins, great design, apron sink, and another window looking at the front of the home, which I'm going to keep going back to. This is the unique part about Austin, where you can be minutes from downtown, but I can promise you, when you walk on that street that's out there, or you walk down the entryway into the front door, it does not feel like you are minutes from a major downtown of a huge city in the United States. And I love that about Austin. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a pocket neighborhood where even being here for 9 years, I'm like, where am I? I can't believe we are minutes from downtown. And that's the vibe that a lot of people get when they're in these neighborhoods like Tarrytown, Northwest Hills, Allendale, Rosedale, even Crestview and Brentwood is getting that vibe. I think for some people, they really want a ton of mature trees and some topography, and that topography really makes them think of Austin. And I think you really do see that here in Tarrytown. Now we're gonna head upstairs after we get to the study. While we're here in the study, I should mention, I like how private this is, and I was gonna say the functionality of these spaces, just because for a lot of people, they want the powder bathroom, which we're gonna see next, right off of that main living area. Obviously they want it accessible for guests. A lot of people that I talk to, they want something cool in their powder bathroom, which I think you see here with that sink and the sconces, the different wall color, absolutely fantastic. Even wallpaper on the ceiling, so I'm gonna keep going there. Anything to just catch your attention and draw your attention up, fantastic. But I think the functionality and the privacy here is great. Study at the front of the home, so it's away from the bedrooms, kind of accessible to the main living area, but still off of it. You know, we're right off of here. And then the primary bedroom in the back right of the home. We saw that garage, bedroom area, and hangout area. And now upstairs, we're gonna see a few bedrooms and 3 more bathrooms. So this was a 5-bedroom, 5.5 bathroom, 2 homes. You know, the garage home, there's probably a better term for that. Separate guest house is what I should be calling it. And then we have this main home, which still has a lot of square footage, which you'll see right here. Now, this game room is what so many people tell me they end up cutting out, and they feel regret when they do this, just because they need this separate game room as kind of like a separate hangout area. Upstairs, maybe somebody's cooking, downstairs, and you don't want to feel like you live on top of each other. Then having that game room where, you know, if you have it as a play area for kids, or you just have it, somebody's watching a ball game upstairs, somebody's downstairs doing work at the study. It's nice to have these separate spaces, but not compromise on the home feeling open concept. And I think that's where you get this great combination in this home, built recently, and it opens up because of the tall ceilings that we keep seeing here and sliding glass doors like this. This is incredible, and I don't see this too often where we get all this great square footage, but we still have a huge balcony. I've been on a lot of balconies. Sometimes it's kind of a balcony to just check a box. It's kind of small, and it's fine. Sometimes that's all people need is a space to just kind of sit down, maybe a couple seats, nothing big. But if you want an area where you can hang out and still get privacy, I think this is one of those areas. And that's exactly how they built it out, where you have electrical and cable up on the wall to hang a TV. You got some great lighting, fantastic ceiling design, and it all looks out to this beautiful backyard. Let me know what you think about this. Minutes from downtown, right here in Tarrytown. So much cool stuff in this backyard. I don't even know, I don't really have words for it. And take a look at this. In the distance, I think often in most cities, that wouldn't be greenery. That would just be homes, right? It would be home, right? And don't get me wrong, you do have homes here. You have a home on the left side of this home, although you do have some great mature trees that I think it's giving you privacy. But here, like this balcony, when I sit out here and I come to the edge of this balcony, this is what Austin feels like. And that's why I think so many people keep looking at this area like Tarrytown, Allendale, Northwest Hills. And that's why I'm gonna continue to publish videos like this of these homes, so you have an idea of what's out there. And even if you're at a different price point, knowing what's around you is really a very good idea. It makes a difference for future resale value. It also makes a huge difference for livability. And that's exactly what I'll cover while we go through these 3 bedrooms and full bathrooms here, is why do people buy in this area? I kind of alluded to it before, because I think a lot of people look at this area and they see the pricing and they say, what is going on? This is, I hear it often. People say, hey, this has become California pricing. Why would people do that in the middle of Texas? And my answer to that is what I mentioned before, is right now, the emerging buyer, when they look at homes, they grew up in the suburbs. So when they look at homes, they try to find homes that don't feel like their childhood. And I think you either go to your childhood or you go away from your childhood. It's one or the other, right? I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania. I've had a lot of people that say they love small town vibes, so they always go to the small town because that's what reminds them of their childhood. Other people tell me that they grew up on a cul-de-sac in the suburbs. They love their childhood. They love where they grew up. It's just the neighborhood felt a little bit more cookie cutter, and they want something different after growing up in that area for years. And when I get that type of person reaching out to me that's looking to move to the Austin, Texas metro, and they say, look, we want to live where it feels like we live in Austin, not the suburbs, not, franchise places to eat around us. Like, we want to live in the area that resonates with us of why we love Austin. And for a lot of those types of people that want to feel like they live in Austin, that's where we look at neighborhoods like Tarrytown and Allendale and, Crestview, Brentwood, Northwest Hills. All these neighborhoods feel slightly similar to each other, but all have their unique parts to it. And that's something I can continue to explore throughout these videos. Now, let me know what you think about this. Is that your vibe? Do you think you prefer the suburbs, or do you want to live in an area like this where you got one of the biggest spare bedrooms I've seen in this area? And take a look at the windows. Like, there's just greenery everywhere, even around these areas with new builds, where they do a lot of tear downs, and they might take like an old ranch home that, was pretty much just somebody holding on to their land value, but not upkeeping the home. They will buy those, they'll tear them down, and they'll build up one of these homes. And I know for some people that can be controversial in a way, and I completely understand both parties that say, hey, I don't want everything just being redeveloped. At the same time, you don't want to just have houses that are dilapidated and just sitting there, right? That's not great for people that live in this area either. And so there is a give and take when it comes to that debate, and that's really what it is. It's a debate, and what I've found is there are two sides to developments. You can't put a fence around the city of Austin, Texas, or other cities that people love going to and tell people that you can't hop that fence. Only people within Austin can stay within Austin, right? That's just not possible. And I think for a lot of people that don't want these areas getting developed, it's a bit irrational in a way. Like anywhere across America that's great is going to continue to develop. And if these areas don't develop and they go in the opposite direction, that doesn't help anybody. And I know that because I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania. It was an old coal region town. And guess what happened when coal stopped being produced at a mass level? That our town really started to shut down. There were very limited opportunities. The elementary school that I went to ended up closing down because there weren't enough new families going in there. And what does that do to values of businesses and people's houses? It didn't help, right? And sometimes we often say to people, well, I don't want growth because we just want to be on the side that's, protecting people that are living in these areas. But when you look at the opposite side of these things, when you say, well, hang on, if this doesn't grow and we go back down, that doesn't help people either. So there's going to be pros and cons of everything. Obviously, I'm tiptoeing around this conversation because it is a delicate conversation. I'm not saying people should get displaced by any means. Of course, we want everybody to prosper and capitalize on the growth that's happening here. But I think for some of these topics, you can't just say one side and say we shouldn't grow, right? There are two sides to this, and I think growth can be very advantageous in some of these areas where some of these properties that have been around for a while, instead of revamping them, doing a couple tear downs here or there, and building up these homes has really helped develop these areas, especially Tarrytown, just east of here, Clarksville, and then just east of there is downtown Austin. And so these areas are so close by to the heart of Austin, Texas. So I want to hear from you on what you thought about this home in Tarrytown. I gave, the information for this is in the description of this video. And then if you want to connect with me and my team, go ahead and scan this QR code if you're watching this on TV. That will start a text message with me and my team. All you got to do is click send. And when that goes to us, we're happy to get to know your criteria. So if you're looking around this area or different parts of the Austin, Texas metro, let us know and we'll connect you with somebody who's an expert with your criteria. And that's always the key to this. Now, if you're watching this on mobile, just go to the link at the bottom of the description of this video. You can get on our calendar and book a call that way. And then, of course, keep sticking around for more tours that are coming around this area. So if you're looking around Allendale, Tarrytown, Northwest Hills, these different pocket neighborhoods across the north and northwest corridor of Austin, Texas, I'm going to keep featuring them on this channel. And then I do have other channels featuring different types of real estate across the Austin, Texas metro. All right. I hope that helps. Take care, everyone.